Hello and welcome to Probeline, a production of GrassRoots Community Network. We'd like to thank our generous community-minded sponsor, A&B Bank, for helping to make this possible. Probeline provides you the opportunity to get to know candidates for mayor and city council who want to represent you, and the election is coming up here in March. Our guest this episode is Katy Frisch. Did I say that correctly?
Frisch. Almost. Frisch. Yes.
Well, welcome, Katy.
Thank you. You're not the first person to mispronounce it a little bit. So.
Well, I have one of those last names that no one can pronounce.
I can't pronounce your last name.
I know. Most of my family can't either. Well, let's start with a question I have for you. I'm curious about your definition of representation.
Okay. So for the mayor position and for city council here in Aspen, I view these positions as elected community service. So I think that it is a service to the community that people who volunteer and have volunteered for decades for these positions do. It's not highly compensated. It's not a full-time position, and it's it takes a lot of gumption to be able to do it because it's a very, very important position. And you hear from a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I view it as elected community service and a way to give back. I feel like if you can serve your community, you should. And this is one of the ways that I'm hoping to continue the years of community service I've had.
And you have. As a community representative, how do you represent the community? How does that process work?
Well, I mean, that's what our whole democracy is about, right? Elected representative democracy, excuse me. So first of all, listening to people, talking to people, being willing to walk into the grocery store or walk to the bus stop and hear, what people have to say. I'm doing office hours actually on this campaign. I'm doing them on Friday afternoon at the Bucket. So lunch runs on Fridays and see who shows up that we can take a ride up the gondola and maybe take a couple of runs together. It's actually quite a good excuse for me to get out there.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to listen to people, to hear people, to be responsive and represent the broad base of the community, as well as not just the voters here, but because so much of our economy is dependent upon people commuting, it's really our whole valley. So making sure that you're hearing and listening to folks throughout the valley, as well as our visitors and guests alike. I think it's really important to just be there and be accessible for people.
Have you already started these office hours?
I have. You haven't shown up yet, Reed. This Friday.
Basalt.
Oh, well, you can still come and ski with me.
Well, that's true. That's true. And how has that gone?
Yeah, I mean, a couple people have shown up. It's, I'm going to add in a coffee shop or something as well as we get through the next couple weeks. And I'm also planning on doing a lot of door knocking and meeting people at their homes if they're home.
Yeah.
And, a couple meet and greets, but mostly just talking to people on the golf course when I'm walking the dog, around town, all those kinds of things. And I'm getting a lot of inbound questions as well. So,
great.
Yeah.
Well.
Oh, we got the cards.
Yeah. Pick one.
Oh,
Pick a
boy.
card, any card.
Let's go with the one closest to me.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
So, no, there's no uh-oh. Katy, how do you deal with uncertainty?
Uncertainty. Wow. I have a lot of uncertainty in life. The last 3 years, my husband was running for Congress, and I can't think of more uncertainty than that, as he was gone a lot and traveling out throughout the western and southern Colorado. I am a problem solver, so I'm an engineer by education, so I tend to think about how to structure, how to think about a problem and structure potential responses. So I deal with uncertainty by trying to figure out the variables and what the outcomes might be. So it doesn't, I think I handle it fairly well because try to think about everything. I'm thoughtful in that way. So maybe dwell on things too much. We'll see. But life is full of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And I think an experience base, if you can bring an experience base to your decisions, that helps make it easier. But sometimes there isn't a right decision, and sometimes there isn't a prescribed outcome. So we certainly live in some uncertain times as well.
Right.
So I think we're all dealing with that every day.
Well, and you still have to move forward.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were trained or educated as an engineer.
Yeah. I have a degree in electrical engineering and an MBA too. So I kind of have both sides of that, the
That's
financial
great.
side and the problem solving
What
side.
drew you to electrical engineering?
Really, it was a family thing. My dad's an engineer. My brother is an engineer. I grew up in a family business environment where he literally started his company in the basement of our house. And I was 4 years old helping him pack these filters that he made. So, I used to joke I was the only 54-year-old with 50 years of experience in the cable industry because we sold into that industry since I started so young. So I was good at math and science, and I had the role model and went into it, and really didn't work for many years as an engineer, but just the idea about how you go about problem solving and setting up, thinking about issues was really important for that, and I learned a ton. It was interesting.
Well, and I always think of a college education
Yeah.
as being the filter through which you see the world, no matter whether you follow that profession or not.
That's a good point, yeah.
And my undergraduate degree is in psychology, but this show isn't about me.
So I'm being analyzed right now, right? Just kidding.
But it is partly the filter through which I see the world.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. Well, I'm going to keep going with the closest one.
Okay. So I should...
so move them around, otherwise. Yeah.
What role has luck played in your life?
Oh, I think luck plays a big role in everybody's life. I mean, it's lucky who your parents are and who you're born to. I've had a fantastic childhood and was lucky to be raised by two loving parents and in a stable home, and that makes all the difference, I think, in people's lives. Things sometimes you create your own luck, you create your own opportunities, and other times you have to kind of take what's thrown at you. So, some good luck, some bad luck. Overall, relatively healthy and have a great loving family, married a great person, and who also comes from a wonderful family, and raising two great kids. So I feel blessed to have had all that luck in my life, and also with the capability to have a lot of success in business for the last 20 years or so. So luck is huge. It's huge. And
where did you grow up?
I grew up outside of Syracuse, so central New York. Grew up ski racing and misspent youth that way. And racing college as well. But there was very little to do in central. We have a lot of transplanted central New Yorkers here in Colorado, right? Because it's a good place to leave, I think.
Yeah.
So I was lucky to, actually, the first time I came out to Aspen, I was in college. And a friend of mine's parents had a place out here, and we came out with a group of people from the ski team, and I almost didn't leave. I mean, the snow was terrible the year we were here. I couldn't believe how amazing it was, and so I felt lucky to have that experience in my college years, and sort of always had it in the back of my mind to come back here, and luckily made it. So,
how long have you been here now?
Since '03. In Colorado since 2000, so 20 plus years.
Yeah.
It's a great place to live. Best days are ahead of us. All right, this one's closest.
Well, in that vein, why did you come to Aspen?
So I had been working in New York as an investment banker after I got my MBA at Chicago, and I just got a little bit of investment banking burnout, It was a lot, and I was doing a lot of traveling, and so I decided that I was going to try to do some different stuff in the finance world, and ended up moving to Colorado for right before the tech market crashed, and then ended up staying, and
In the state.
staying in the state, and then met Adam about a year or so later, and he convinced me over a sushi dinner at Matsu to move to Aspen, and that was not too hard to be convinced of, and it's been it's such a great community where there are so many people doing interesting, different things.
Yeah.
And we just, we've met so many amazing people of all generations, all ages, all backgrounds, that truly make this community wonderful.
Well, and you've put down roots here,
Mm-hmm.
but why did you end up staying? What keeps you here?
Well, my love of the mountains first and foremost. I grew up ski racing. I get out there every chance I can. In my 20s, I spent a lot of time working and not much time playing at all, and so I'm trying to make up for that now. And so whether it's the outdoor activities, camping with the kids, the amazing people we've met here that are all kind of like-minded in the sense of small-town community. I grew up in a small town too, and I appreciate that aspect of our life here. And we've met a lot of great people. So it's the people, it's the sense of place, it's the community, and it's the mountains for sure. I love being out there.
It is a pretty nice place to be.
It is.
Okay.
Well, this one's closest. Do I need a different decision-making metric? Is that the...
No.
I'm going to throw you for a loop next time and change it.
So, Katy, tell me about your most recent humbling experience.
My most recent humbling experience. Well, I have 2 teenagers, so I pretty much have a humbling experience every day.
How old are your kids?
17 and 19. My daughter's a senior at Aspen High School, and my son graduated from high school last year, took a year off to help Adam out with his campaign. He's in D.C. now, so he's starting college in the fall, and Quintessa's starting college in the fall as well. So super excited to be an empty nester. My most recent humbling experience, besides the look that I get every day whatever clothing I'm wearing for my daughter, that's a hard one. I'm looking for a big humbling experience. I guess just going through that whole election with Adam, the couple of elections that we've had that we haven't won. He had 2 congressional, my last school board. It takes a lot to put yourself out there, and it's hard when it doesn't go your way. But you recover from it.
Yeah, and what did you learn from that? I think that's part of what humbling experiences are good for.
It's true. There are things bigger than yourself, first of all. Putting yourself out there takes a great deal of personal bravery, I think. But losing with humility is, just as important, I think.
Yeah.
So learn how to talk to people, learn perspective. The most important things in my life are my family and my friends and my community and spirituality. All that kind of comes together. But first and foremost, it's the kids.
Yeah.
And you realize that you need to spending time with them is by far the most important thing. Even when they think that you're, an uncool older mom, they come back. They love you. That they love you. So, every day I'm just amazed at how much they've grown up. Once in a while you look at your phone and you see a picture of your kids when they were 2 or 3. You're like, wow, how did that happen? Where did the time go?
Yeah.
They were so cute, and it's amazing how and humbling what great people they've turned out to be. So.
And, I'm sorry, one just graduated?
Yeah.
Your son?
My son just graduated last spring, and my daughter's currently a senior at Aspen High School.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And you said he's in D.C.?
He's in D.C. working for the winter and the spring before he starts college in the fall. So
Yeah.
he's working for a PAC after he worked on the campaign and drove Adam around all over. I think he might be the only 19-year-old with, 70,000 miles of driving experience.
Right.
It's great.
That's wonderful.
He's the chosen driver in the family now, whenever we go anywhere.
He's a semi-pro.
He is a semi-pro.
Yeah.
He's too young to get his commercial license, but he will probably as soon as he can.
That's great. Where is he going to go to school?
He's going to go to University of Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Which is where you went to school, right?
It's where I went to graduate school.
Okay.
Yeah. So I know it's kind of nice to have. It's a great location. South side of Chicago is really a special place.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wonderful. Okay.
Oh, these two are equidistant, so I'm going to go with the one in the middle.
As an engineer, I knew you'd pick the one that was kind of out of a line with the
Can't help
others.
myself.
So this may be particularly interesting given both you and Adam. How do you, as a public servant, weave in or separate your public and private life?
In this small town, I don't know
Yeah.
if you really can. I mean, it's kind of all the same. And, it's not politics. It's, as I said, it's community service. And for it to be community service, you need to talk to the community. So I try to make sure I have time to myself to hike and to skin and, do it out there with my dog a lot. Whatever I need to do to sort of clear my head and put on a podcast or something like that. But at the same time, I really, love the walks up Smuggler or around the golf course where you run into people and talk to them about issues. Because, I think it's hard. You have to have close friends that you talk to about stuff, but you also need to talk to the whole community and learn what's going on. So I think it's exceptionally hard in a small community to separate the two.
It is.
But that's kind of what I'm signing up for, I think. So.
Does that energize you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I do need my time alone too, but it does. I love talking to people about issues and hearing new ideas, and I mean, just even through the last couple months, it hasn't even been 2 months of this campaign. There have been so many people who have approached me with interesting solutions or questions or ideas about some of our existing issues and problems here in town. That it's amazing to see the number of people that first of all, everyone is so passionate about our community, and people want things to be better, and it's so great to hear things that are coming up as ideas about, ways we can go about things differently, and not necessarily always in the complaining mode either. It's
Right.
not just complaints, it's ideas about, hey, why don't we get these two groups together? Why don't we figure out a way to solve this? Why, this would be better for seniors, this might be better for kids, that type of thing. And it's been great listening to that. So that type of thing really energizes me. I do need some of my alone time though too. So.
Well, and I think the value of that is oftentimes underrated, to just take a little bit of time and stop and think about everything you've been bombarded with and synthesize it.
It's true. I mean, sometimes even, we have a pointer, a dog that's very high energy, so we go out, I'm out with her a lot. And I don't always listen to a podcast or music or anything. Sometimes it's just taking in the scenery and enjoying her and keeping her from chomping on those deer legs that she finds, things like that.
I have to ask, what kind of pointer?
She's a wire-haired pointing Griffon. She's a bird dog. She's great. She's just very high energy.
We have a German wire-haired pointer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mine's like a bigger and fluffier version. Or wire-haired, probably about the same fluffy. I think she's about 75 pounds, I think, now.
Yeah.
So she's big.
That is big.
Yeah. They're energetic, though.
They're very energetic.
Yeah. They're fun, though.
And they run in figure eights. But at least ours does.
Yeah. Ours does, too. She likes to find sticks that are more like tree branches. Carries them down, knocks everybody out in back of the knees as she's trying to pass you on a single track.
Yeah. We'll get back to you in a moment, but we have to talk about this. Our dog would, when she was young, would pick up branches longer than this table
Oh, yeah.
and proudly
Yeah.
carry them around.
Our dog still does.
Yeah.
She's great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Time check.
10 minutes.
Okay. I lost my time clock.
That's okay. This one's closer. I don't know. It's closer to my hands.
All right.
That one's a little further away.
What do you think sets a successful person apart?
Wow. I think there's a lot of things. First of all, it depends on how you define success, doesn't it?
Yes.
And so I think starting there, success isn't about the size of your pocketbook. It's about the size of your heart, the people you have in your life, and how you interact with them. And make sure you're taking care of yourself, but also your family, your community, and as I said before, sort of the spirituality aspect of it that people can find in a lot of different ways. But trying to balance those together is my definition of success.
It's a very value-oriented
Yeah.
response of success comes from these values.
Yeah, exactly. And so what sets a person apart? I mean, first of all, there's, as we talked about before, there's an element of luck. You know, you don't get to pick where you're born or who your family is, but you have to make the best of it. So, and again, I was very lucky on that. So I think successful people recognize the need for balance in the different aspects of their lives and have people that are meaningful to them and a community that's meaningful to them that they interact with. To me, part of success is also giving back to that community and being engaged in it. I think it's I think it's a blessing to have the time to be able to do that. Not everyone does have the time, but when you do, you get it back in spades. Whether it's volunteer work, or just spending time with your kids or your kids and their friends. There's lots of things that you can do to have a successful community. Even if you're working 2 to 3 jobs, just being engaged and involved with other people, I think for me that's the definition of success. And I feel lucky that I have a lot of different groups of people, different kinds of people that we're friends with and that we spend time with, and you get different things from different folks, and I think it's wonderful. I mean, one of the things that I like about this is I'm meeting new people every day. Even though I feel like I know so many people in our community, I'm still meeting new people every day as part of this, and that's just great.
It sounds like that kind of interaction is very energizing.
Yeah, I
for
think it
you.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Meetings.
Not meetings, but conversations.
Yeah.
Conversations over coffee. Although I do admit I might be drinking a little too much coffee now. So I need to start ordering the decaf. But as I'm spending a lot of time with different people, it's just been great to hear different perspectives, and people come from different lives. And, I want to, as we're sitting down, we're talking about me, but I want to know more about you too. So, that to me, that's exciting to hear what other people are doing and the perspectives they bring. And I think, part of it in this community, it's a little sad, as it seems like recently there's been a lot of conversation about the decline of our community and how it's not what it used to be. I believe our best days are always ahead. I don't think you should be an elected community service if you don't think that it will be better down the line. There are aspects of the old that we want to bring forward, and then there's some things that we don't even know about yet that are up and coming. But I think that there's a way to bring people together to continue to make this place great, and it saddens me when people are sort of depressed about that. But I think that there's ways to help fix that in the future. I look forward to being involved in that. I think it would be fun.
That is that dialogue of the loss of Aspen.
Right.
It seems to be pervasive.
It is.
About it, but it's still here.
It is still
whatever
here.
it is.
And everyone that we meet when they first come here, Adam and I joke about how they're kids in a candy store. people get to Aspen, they're so excited about all the different things that this town has to offer. And I mean, just the trails and the facilities and the mountain and the streams and, you know, whatever they like to do, and the arts, it's here. And so we have a lot of really amazing things here. And it's sad when people, you know, don't necessarily appreciate it because of other things that have changed. But I think that there is an ability to reframe that a little bit and make sure that we're providing services and facilities for locals so that people do feel like they're part of the general community and they're not being left behind, because it's a real feeling. It's just a matter of how do we address that and get back to that, the sense of community, so that it's not a commodity. Aspen shouldn't be a commodity. It needs to be a community. And to preserving that sense of place and making sure that we all have the ability to enjoy it is important. And I just love when someone's new to town, how great they feel about it. They're just so excited by everything, you know.
Well, we all seem to have this notion of the perfect Aspen based on when we got here.
Exactly. Shut the door the minute you get to town, right? I mean, that's common in a lot of resort communities too. And, you know, I wish I looked like I did 20 years ago or 30 years ago, but I don't either. So, you know, we all change and we have to roll through it. And that unknown, I mean, these are common themes that we've talked about the whole time, that unknown and dealing with the unknown. I don't know what it's going to look like here in 50 years, but, you know, hopefully we can preserve some kind of sense of place. And again, I think community is above and beyond the most important thing. And the question is, how do we bring everyone together from these different aspects of the community, whether you're new here or whether you've been here your whole life and were born here. You know, different people bring different stuff, and keeping that authenticity here, I think, is really, really important. So
it is. But how do you enfranchise people to the community as it's growing and changing?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's important not to leave people behind. Make sure people have a place to live and stuff to do, whatever that stuff is that they like to do. I mean, I think we have a thriving arts community. We have a ton of recreation opportunities. I think we need some more community spaces to gather, making sure people have that ability to gather, and that, you know, whether it's, you know, the Armory building or whether it's, you know, providing support for other organizations, you know, whatever it is, making sure people have an ability to come together and making sure we have some common goals too, and having conversations around those. So, and respect, making sure we keep the conversation respectful. We're not going back to, you know, the quiet years, I hope, because it's one way to solve all our traffic problems. But, you know, as I said, the best days, I think, are ahead of us. It's just a matter of, you know, bringing people together to make sure we're enjoying it and respecting each other and welcoming and everybody, and that no one's getting left behind in that conversation. Oh, one last one. No, I want that one.
Oh, this one's blank. So, what's the one thing you wish you'd known early in your career, or you wish you knew early in your career that you know now?
Wow. That's a good question. It's actually a lot of what I've been talking about. I mean, I spent my 20s working my tail off and really spent most of my time working and not building community, traveling a lot. And go back to myself in my 20s, I would have said, you know, you need to not cancel those plans with friends because you have to work. You know, I think I would have had a little more fun when I was younger.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
So it's this balance.
It's a balance.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the hardest things people have in life, trying to balance things out. And I was not particularly good at that when I was younger. I was very focused on career and making things happen, career-wise. But the good news is it set me up to be able to do what I'm doing now. So, you know, it's a trade-off, so it's hard to go back and say, I wish I would have.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I think of some things that I missed that probably would have been a lot of fun, and community building in the community I was in at the time. Maybe I could have moved here earlier.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be a big one, I think.
You know, it is the kind of wisdom that comes from being around a bit and knocked around. And we talked about humility and failure,
Yep.
you know, and how important that is. And it seems like it takes some time to learn that and then put it to good use.
Yeah, it's true. And it's hard when you're younger. I mean, you want all these things, right? Or I did. I was very focused on a career and, you know, worked hard, studied hard, and really pushed to get my career as ahead as quickly as possible. And, you know, then I got pretty burnt out on that whole thing. Made it here instead.
That's great.
Yeah, it was good.
Katy, it's been wonderful speaking with you
It's been great chatting with you too.
and
Reed.
getting to know you a little bit.
Next time we do you.
Well, that'll be a 2-minute interview, but and thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, and this concludes this edition of Probeline, a production of GrassRoots Community Network. You can support GrassRoots in a variety of ways. You can donate online, you can volunteer to work with GrassRoots, and you can produce a show. So thank you for joining us, and remember, with GrassRoots, get to know Aspen, watch GrassRoots.